It took Mother Nature less than 12 hours to completely dampen my spring spirit already. Rained quite a bit overnight, I believe, maybe an inch or so, and it's also kind of chilly. Those are two things that I was hoping wasn't going to happen. Hey, at least we get to see the new tile in action. Not even close to maximum capacity. It's probably closer to minimum capacity, but it is going. It's a tale of two different workloads here on the outlet side. The older 24 to the north is moving quite a bit of water, and the new one is not doing much, but there is water coming out of it. The south one that we just put in really does serve kind of as a supplement to that one over there. We didn't even get that big of a rain because the inlet isn't even underwater. So once we get a rain of that caliber, you'll really start to see that one shine. This definitely is not the spring weather I was hoping for this week. I am thankful that we have some inside work to do since it's not that great to work outside today. Although the work we have inside is not that great either, but it's better than doing nothing. Yep, we're starting with the fun stuff today. As they say though, a little bit of grease a day keeps the mechanic away most of the time. It is pretty convenient that most modern farm equipment comes with a grease alarm installed. It's a nice squealing noise when there's metal on metal. We do have a minor issue on that 8310R in the ExactEmerge planter with a wiring harness connection that we're gonna have a mechanic come look at. As of right now though, Dad and I are gonna shimmy these tractors around so we can get my soybean planter out into the middle. I'm still not quite used to how big this tractor is. Even compared to other four-wheel drives, it's just a giant. Looks like a good spot to me. Really not that hard of a squeeze getting the tractor and planter out of here, except for the unloading auger on the S780 combine, which could present some hurdles. No problem for an experienced pro, right? Let's see. We are in plant, transport, row lift. Okay, rows are going up, that's good. Wing wheels are going up. That whole experience right there, getting the 1790 planter away from the wall, is one of the unmentioned parts that is problematic about doing a great job parking your equipment, getting it nice and snug. It's very hard to get it out, especially if you don't have much room to work with. A little bit stressful. Lovely weather we're having. Equally lovely performance out of our windshield wiper. Might as well not be on there. Looks like we left ourselves a spring project for the planter. I don't even remember where that goes, but it was in the tractor that only plants, so it's gotta go on this planter somewhere. I'd imagine this in my head to be much more space efficient than it actually was, because I'm taking up a lot of unnecessary room with this job right here. The next planter project that we're about to embark on is on my 1790 split row soybean planter. We will be replacing one of the closing wheels on every row with one of these spiked Copperhead Ag Furrow Cruiser closing wheels. The standard setup that we have been running on both of our planters for years is 2 of these rubber closing wheels. There's a lot of data out now, especially from Beck's PFR studies, that these closing wheels actually provide a pretty significant advantage year after year.
The Beck's data in particular shows that these closing wheels on average provide a 1.7 bushel per acre bump in soybeans.
At face value, that seems like a relatively insignificant amount of soybeans, but that adds up pretty quickly. If you have 1.7 bushels of soybeans across, let's say, 1,000 acres, that's 1,700 bushels at $15 a bushel, where it's at right now. That is $25,000. Pretty big return on investment if that data does hold true. Of course, it is important to factor in the cost of these. They're not free. Actually, far from it. They're about $75 a piece. 75 times 32 rows on our 40-foot planter here at 15 inches. That is about $2,500 for this upgrade. But if the long-term data that Beck's is providing is accurate, it's going to return itself 10 times in 1 year. And we do run more than 1,000 acres over our soybean planter, so hopefully this is a good financial investment for us. Like I said, we're running a rubber one and a spiked one. Some people might argue that you need both. We just had one spiked one budgeted for this year. Maybe next year we'll have two, or quite possibly a different and a bigger soybean planter. I do have an affliction for the looks of a brand new DB60 going out of our John Deere dealership right now that, whew, it'd be nice to have. I built a very high dollar display on our shop floor here to help you visualize the difference between these two. The rubber wheel just comes over the top of the trench, one on both sides, packs it down, and closes it, like so. As you can see here in my limestone and rock display, the rubber one is just gonna push in, which is great 70 to 80% of the time. If the soil is in great shape, it's loose, it's breaking apart, that will work perfectly fine. However, when we get into our lighter, wetter, heavier clays, and even some of our dark soil, if it's not exactly fit, a lot of times it will be tight. These rubber closing wheels may not provide adequate closing pressure to help seal up the top of that trench and keep those seeds from drying out. That is where the spiked closing wheel is supposed to come in, because it runs along the same thing. It closes the trench, but also crunches down the soil on either side, collapsing that top end. That should, in theory, loosen that soil over the top, even if it's more marginal, close the trench, and help with emergence. Now, I've always preached that soybeans can adapt to varying populations relatively easy, especially compared to corn. However, if there is a problem spot in the field where your trenches aren't closing, I dealt with it last year, those seeds are susceptible to drying out, possible herbicide damage, insect feeding, animal feeding, a variety of things can happen. And if there is a thin enough spot, it will cost you money. That is where it's supposed to help you return on the financial side. There definitely has been a major shift towards these being adopted. Some people still use the rubber closing wheels. I'm liking what I'm seeing with the spiked. There's many different options. Yetter provides one that actually shows to be even better than this, but we just had a supply of these to use. Definitely something worth checking out if you're looking for a cheaper upgrade that will return pretty quickly. Rubber's fine. I believe they make these with a fitment for almost every brand of planter, Kinsey included. We're only about halfway done with the planter project, but we're buttoning everything up because there's a pretty heavy rain and possibly storm coming across the countryside. Don't want our nice 9620R getting hailed on. Just in time for a nice lunch break. Sometimes Mother Nature can be convenient. Don't forget to head over to farmfocus.com, check out my channel merchandise and all the other awesome agriculture content creators. Also throw a link in there. I appreciate you all continuing to support the channel. And that concludes a very lengthy install process for over half of our row units having at least one of these spike coulters.
Although every row on this planter has one spike closing wheel and one rubber, we did opt to put two behind the planter and the wheel tracks because we thought that's going to be more compacted soil, and these double setups would definitely help here, if anywhere at all. These closing wheels and planter units in general are tricky little buggers because everything on the left side is reverse threaded because you don't want it coming loose when it's spinning that way. So you do have to keep that in mind. My quick trick is to see which way it spins, and that's the way it tightens.
To be completely honest with you, I don't even really know what the effective lifespan of these closing wheels are, but quoting that $25,000 return I mentioned, if that is accurate, if you run these things for 5 years, that's $125,000 return on investment in something that costs you $2,500. And quite possibly, depending on your finances, you may actually be able to afford to put spike closing wheels on both sides of your planter. Alrighty, folks. I'm quitting for the day, which means you are too. I'd like to say that spring is right around the corner, but this weather has me thinking otherwise. It is good for getting some things done indoors. I do appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!